Thanks, Senator Fitzpatrick. Go ahead.
Thanks, and thanks, Paul, and everybody in the department for the work that you've done on the new large-scale residential development bill. It's really very welcome. I suppose I was one of those public reps at a local level who complained loudly about the SHD process, and I suppose what I would hope is that this new legislation is going to address many of the issues that created great concern to communities. I suppose for me it was in Dublin Central in the city, but you know, when you talk about the SHG process and the speed, it certainly delivered that. But what I'm encouraged with the large-scale residential development legislation is that there will be fixed timescales and it will be time-bound, but the initial decisions will be taken at a local level. And I think that's really important. And I suppose in terms of the workings of the local authorities, one aspect of the SHD process that the local authority members found very useful was the statutory meeting, the briefing for the elected representatives. So I suppose I want to ensure that we have a commitment that that statutory meeting and that statutory briefing of local authority members, the area reps, for each LS/D application will be maintained. I think the website as well, the dedicated website, and actually that the website would be kept up after a decision is made is really important to not just the elected local members, but also to the local communities. And I suppose the last thing is in terms of, while the numbers there, the 52,000 or so residential developments that gained planning permission, the judicial review process is obviously delayed a very significant number of them, and that speaks for itself. But I do think that we need to, in giving developers and giving the sector a dedicated resources and time-bound process and delivering them the efficiencies, we do need to ensure that they also have a bit of a stick to deliver, to actually use the very precious and important planning permissions and valuable planning permissions that they're going to receive through this accelerated and time-bound process. So I just would like if in responding you can comment on that element as well, because obviously the legislation is one part of the process, but capacity and delivering increased capacity in terms of homes is really important to us.
Yeah, will I come back in on that, Chair, at this point?
Please.
Sorry, go ahead, Mr. Hogan, please.
Okay, sure. Yeah, look, we are open to, I think just the first thing is that the statutory briefing for elected reps, you know, that operates, you know, in most local authorities, because, you know, elected members receive the weekly list and can call certain applications you know, for discussion at municipal areas or area committees. But I think we are open to looking at how that level of you know, interaction can be maintained. I think we just have to bear in mind that the large-scale residential developments are a reversion to the system, largely as we have it within the central 8 weeks, you know, the central 8 weeks where the planning application is made. And within that time, local elected members do currently have the facility whereby they can make an observation on a planning application, you know, free of charge, and they can have that recorded, you know, on the record within the 5 weeks. So that is something that already exists and will continue, whereas it didn't previously operate with SHD. So I think you know, if you're considering making a recommendation or suggestion in relation to that as a committee, it's just to bear in mind how that would fit into the 5 week period, you know, during which submissions are made, and how it would align with that, and how it could be taken into account. But certainly you know, the briefing, you know, information about files, about large scale developments, I think that absolutely is something that needs to be disseminated and can easily be done. It is proposed, I think, to maintain the website, you know, particularly for large-scale developments, and that's something that has proven very useful and effective. And I think one of the criticisms has been that the website, you know, comes down once the application has been determined, so that I suppose, you know, that is a useful facility. And I think we'll have to have a look at that. it's certainly part of the proposal. On the delivery side, well, I suppose, I don't want to get too much into a whole other area, but certainly there are proposals, in Housing for All to deal with those issues more separately. We would accept that the level of delivery is not, commensurate with the level of planning activity and decisions made and units permitted. So for sure, delivery is really important. But there are, as you're aware, very firm proposals now, decisions, I suppose, and matters that are being advanced on foot of Housing for All with regard to, for example, a tax on it's referred to as vacant sites, but it will be, zone development land that doesn't come forward, basically, and that is happening, that is being pursued. So yeah, I think a generally positive response to all of those and things that can be incorporated as the legislation moves forward.
Paul, thanks very much for that, and absolutely the vacant land tax as proposed is very welcome. Just in terms of the statutory meeting, I suppose the point I'd make there is, and I absolutely
Senator Fitzpatrick, sorry, Senator Fitzpatrick, sorry, we're over 6 minutes there. I've got to keep strict on this. I'll try and get you back in for